Hi, I'm Adam, and I haven't called myself an addict in years. I used to, every day, every meeting, every conversation about recovery started with, I'm Adam, and I'm an addict. It felt normal. It felt like humility, but it wasn't the truth anymore. The first time I heard someone say, I'm recovered, I was still trying to stay clean one day at a time. I was still deep in the fight, but something about it lit a fire in me. I didn't even know why yet. It just felt like I had heard something I was meant to grow into. See, I didn't stop calling myself an addict because I was confident. I stopped because I was free. I had a spiritual experience. The obsession to use was gone. I wasn't in a battle anymore, and I refused to keep speaking like I was. That shift changed everything for me. So if you've ever wondered why some people stop saying it, or if you're feeling like that word doesn't fit you anymore, this video's for you. Stick around. I'm going to show you what it really means to recover and how your identity may be the one thing holding you back. Hey, ever since my TEDx talk came out, Relapse Prevention Failed, I've had a lot of people ask where they can get this shirt. So I went ahead and made a merch shop for you. It's a drop ship, so would love to get you some of these shirts. You can see them right below. Every one of these supports this channel and supports this message, getting to more people in recovery. And if you get one, make sure to send me an email at adam@recoveredonpurpose.org, and I'd love to send you something else. Look, I said it too. In meetings, around the dinner table at Sober Living, it's the standard script we're given when we first get clean. Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an addict. And in the beginning, that was actually helpful. It was honest. It acknowledged the chaos I came from, and it gave me a place that I belonged with people who understood. There's something powerful about calling it what it is when you're still in it. But here's the thing. Nobody ever told me that it could change, or that it should. At some point, we start healing. We start growing. We stop using. We start helping. And little by little, we become someone new. But that intro, that word, it stays on repeat, like it's permanently stitched to our name. And most of the time, we keep saying it because everyone else does. That's what we're supposed to do, right? But what happens when you start to feel like you're not that person anymore? What happens when that label no longer fits, but you're still expected to wear it? Let me tell you from experience, the moment you outgrow it, not everyone claps. Some people get uncomfortable when you don't shrink into the same label they're still using. But that doesn't mean you're wrong for growing. It just means you're starting to recover, for real. And the identity shift, that's where the real freedom begins. The shift didn't happen because someone told me to stop saying it. It happened because I changed. I remember after I did my 5th step, everything felt different. That obsession that had followed me for over a decade, that urge to use, to drink, to escape, it was gone. Not pushed down, not managed, gone. And I didn't need anyone to explain it to me. I knew something had shifted inside of me that couldn't be undone. That's when I started calling myself a recovered addict. Not as a statement to prove anything, but as a reflection of what was already real. I wasn't living in the fight anymore. I wasn't waking up wondering if I could make it through the day. I was free, and I knew it. But I also knew it would rattle people. I was nervous the first few times I said it out loud, not because I doubted myself, but because I knew how much pushback I'd get. And I did. People looked at me sideways, some challenged me, others avoided the conversation altogether. But truth doesn't shrink just because people aren't ready for it. And I wasn't about to pretend I was still broken just to make other people feel more comfortable in their bondage. I had recovered, I had peace, I had purpose, and I wasn't going to call myself anything less. There's a reason scripture says the power of life and death is in the tongue. That's not just a poetic line, that's a spiritual law. And it plays out in recovery more than almost anywhere else. What we speak over ourselves becomes our reality, not overnight, but over time, slowly, consistently, until we either step into freedom or stay stuck by our own confession. Science backs this up. Every time we say something out loud, especially with emotion or repetition, we strengthen the neural pathways that attach to that thought. So when someone says, I'm an addict, long after they've stopped using, they're wiring their brain to believe they're still in the fight, even if they're not. It creates conflict. You're living one truth but speaking another. And that gap causes frustration, self-doubt, and sometimes relapse. Not because they weren't doing the work, but because they were reinforcing the wrong identity. That's why I stopped. That's why I speak differently now. And it's why I help others catch their language too. I've corrected people mid-sentence, not to flex, but because I care. I'll say, hold up, do you really want to claim that over yourself again? Because I don't want anyone staying in bondage just because the culture says that's what we do. We don't have to stay sick to stay honest. We get to speak the truth, from power, from healing, And when I say I'm recovered, I'm not boasting. I'm breathing life into my own future, one word at a time. If you're in a fellowship that follows the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, here's something wild. The word recovered is all over that book. Page 1 of the foreword to the first edition says, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. Not how we're still recovering, how we have recovered. It's written as a destination, not just a process. Appendix 2 at the back of the book defines the spiritual experience that marks that turning point. It describes it as a profound alteration in how we live and think, something that changes our attitude, our reactions, and our very identity. The entire program was designed to bring us out of a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, not to leave us permanently stuck in it, walking around with a label that says still broken. And yet somehow, the language of recovering became the cultural norm, even though the book that birthed the entire movement says something different. It's like quoting scripture while ignoring the part you don't want to believe. That doesn't mean you're cured. That doesn't mean you stop working the program. But it does mean that there's a place you reach, a freedom you live in, when the obsession is gone and the transformation has taken root. I didn't invent this idea. It's in the book. The problem is, most people just haven't read it closely enough. So, if you've recovered, it's not arrogant to say so. It's actually obedience to the truth. I've had a lot of people push back when I say I'm recovered. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Most of the time, it comes from people who haven't done the work or haven't experienced the kind of freedom I'm talking about. They're still in the fight, still showing up to the same meetings, saying the same thing, living the same cycle. So when someone breaks out of that and speaks differently, it shakes them a little. You know the type. Billy Bob the bubble burster sitting in the same chair he sat in for 15 years, stained t-shirt, coffee breath, telling every newcomer, you'll always be recovering, and if you ever think you're not, you're headed for a relapse. Now, I'm not here to bash people, but I am here to say this. Not everyone's opinion deserves your agreement. The truth is, you can't claim recovered if you haven't done the work. It's not something you declare because it sounds nice. It's something that becomes undeniably real because of the transformation you've walked through. And once you've had that experience, once the obsession is lifted, once your heart and mind are made new, no one can take it from you. I don't care if it makes someone uncomfortable. I'm not living to fit in. I'm living to be free. And freedom always speaks louder than fear. Let me tell you what recovered actually feels like. No cravings, no fear, no pretending. It's not white-knuckling through another day. It's not hiding out from alcohol or dodging every potential trigger like you're walking through a minefield. It's peace. It's clarity. It's just over. I can go anywhere a free man can go, as long as I have a reason to be there. I've walked into bars, treatment centers, music venues, homes where people were drinking or using, and not once did I feel pulled back into it. Not because I'm stronger than you, because I'm different than I used to be. There's no mental tug of war. I'm not rehearsing justifications in my head. I'm not calling someone to tell them I made it through the day. I'm not watching the clock until I can escape temptation. It's not even a thought anymore. That's what recovery is supposed to lead to. But it only happens when you do the work, real work, the kind that results in a spiritual experience, not just better habits or positive affirmations. You can't fake your way to freedom. You can't manifest it by saying the right words while still living in fear. But if you truly surrender and fully commit to the process, you'll get there. You'll wake up one day and it won't be about staying sober anymore. It'll just be life, and it'll be really, really good. Let's be clear. Calling yourself recovered doesn't mean you forget where you came from. It means you're finally standing on it with enough strength to help someone else climb out. I still tell my story almost every day. I still talk about the darkest moments, but I don't talk about them from a place of shame or fear. I talk about them from freedom, from victory, and that makes all the difference. If you're starting to feel like the word addict doesn't fit anymore, that's not ego. That might just be growth, but you've got to handle it the right way. First, be honest with your sponsor. Let them know what you're feeling and ask if they've experienced the same thing. Second, find someone who identifies as recovered. Ask them what it took for them to get there. And third, journal the question, who am I now? Not who were you, who are you now? This isn't about pride, it's about progress. And if you've had a true change of heart, you don't owe anyone a smaller version of yourself just to stay acceptable in a room full of people still trying to get there. Here's my challenge to you. Try going 1 week without calling yourself an addict. Just one. Instead, introduce yourself as who you really are, a new creation, a free man or woman, someone who has recovered. Because if I could be found dead from an overdose, homeless, spiritually bankrupt, and now live this life with purpose, maybe it's time for you to consider that for yourself too. Don't let labels keep you chained to a past you've already walked away from. Don't shrink who you are just to make someone else comfortable with where they're still stuck. Speak from freedom, live from truth, and let your story become someone else's lifeline. You're not here to stay sick. You're here to get well and help others do the same as you continue living recovered on purpose. Hey, even though they won't help you get recovered, they might help you find a new identity. You can watch some positive affirmations for addicts in early recovery right here. Or if you want to watch my TEDx talk, Relapse Prevention Failed, and how we can solve this crisis together, you can watch it right here.